So guys, today we're going to be doing a deep dive here on the Borderlands 4 Vault Hunters. We have a lot of information to go over about these characters. I was sent over some info about their actual names and classes and a little bit of their backstory, so we'll cover that, as well as look at some of the abilities that have been shown for these characters inside of old and most recent trailers. So let's start off here with Vex, our brand new Siren. To go over her backstory real quick, Vex had a rough upbringing that was made more complicated by receiving her siren powers. Her cynical and sarcastic demeanour comes from having to fend for herself and scrape for everything she's got, but underneath her salty exterior, Vex is an empath who knows better than anyone how much life can suck. Ever the pessimist, Vex still believes in helping others, and if helping others means dealing damage to oppressive jerks, Vex will always be first in line. So Vex is our brand new Siren character for this game and was the most shown off character inside the most recent developer livestream. And we did actually get a full look at some of her action skills, the first of which being Phase Familiar, which allows her to summon Trouble, who is a giant pink cat who is able to basically act like a pet for you inside this game. Think similar to the pets that you saw in Borderlands 4. Also, this pet's able to change its elemental damage type depending on the weapon that Vex has equipped, which is also very, very cool. Alongside this, her other action skill that we saw was called Incarnate, which allows Vex to empower herself, having this Eldritch Blast ability in her offhand, which is able to shoot out periodically, but also deal gun damage at the same time, and then gun damage reduces Eldritch Blast cooldown, and then she's also able to get health back from dealing damage to enemies whilst in this incarnate state. But then for her other action skill that we didn't actually see, but have seen inside of trailers, she's able to summon these clones of herself almost that have these massive scythes and kind of work similarly to her Phase Familiar, but are, instead of being in a cat form, are just clones of her with these giant scythes. I don't know how they would play differently compared to Phase Familiar, but it seems like we're going to have to wait until either a new reveal or full-on gameplay of her entire kit to understand that better. Now moving on to some of the other characters here, let's talk Rafa, who is an Exo Soldier class. Rafa was born and raised in microgravity, which severely altered his bone density and musculature, making it impossible for him to survive elsewhere. Desperate to explore, he signed up for TDO's military force in exchange for a tour of duty. His body was altered for a new kind of exosuit, but when it came clear TDO never intended to end his service, Rafa went AWOL. Now he's on the run and plans to enjoy whatever time he has left before his TDO dead frame ends him for good. Rafa was the other character that was shown off inside the reveal stream and got probably one of the better design glow-ups in my opinion. Having that mask and hood just makes the whole design look way better in my opinion, and for some of his abilities we saw that he's able to digitize different weapons. So inside the main live stream that happened, we saw he can digitize these twin melee blades, which allow him to go into third person, and you can just do a whole load of melee combos and a big old AoE spin attack, which does look very, very cool. Alongside this, inside of other trailers, we have seen that he's able to digitize these different types of guns, which seems to have like a charge up style effect and hopefully some cool effects when you shoot out projectiles. And also during the most recent gameplay trailer, we saw that he's able to get these like automated turrets on his back, kind of pop out at the top of your HUD and also shoot as you shoot. Don't know if there's any other abilities there, but those are the only ones that I've been able to see, and hopefully that these digitized weapons that he's able to create are able to stand out amongst the other weapons and differentiate themselves from the other base weapons that you find within the game. Moving on from Rafa, let's now talk Harlo, who is a Gravatar class. Harlo is a former Maliwan combat scientist driven by needs to understand how things work. While this initially made her an outcast from her truant relatives, Harlo has used her intellect to bring new tech and gadgetry to the battlefield as a Vault Hunter. Harlo's brilliance is apparent in everything she does, but so is her enthusiasm for love and life. Harlo brings everything to the fight, including her sunny disposition, always ready to give a beatdown. Now, Harlo is one of the characters that we know the least about, and did also get a huge redesign with the most recent trailer. But things that we have seen inside of trailers for her, first up is like this giant gun that she holds at the front of her and charges up like this giant rainbow ball, which seems to be able to shoot out and leaves like this rainbow effect on enemies that get hit by it and also explodes, which looks very, very cool. But then also inside of the most recent trailer, we saw that she has this like a remote control in her hand, which she's able to like activate, and it will like trap enemies inside these bubbles and launch them slowly into the air. Now, I have no idea how this could potentially work in game, probably being able to either just trap bosses or maybe large groups of enemies in those bubbles, but apart from that, we know pretty much nothing about Harlo in terms of other abilities that she may have. I might have just missed something in the trailers, so if I did, make sure to leave those in the comments down below. But let's now talk about the final character here, that being Ammon, who is a Forge Knight class Vault Hunter. So Ammon was raised in a vault monster worshipping cult until the vault was opened and the creature turned on everyone he loved. As the only survivor, he dedicates his life to finding and killing as many of these beasts as he can. Ammon, a warrior poet, is introspective and unflinching to his duty, but despite his hardened appearance, he has a warm attitude often regarding comrades in arms with stories and advice earned through his travels. Now, Ammon, actually, we have a load of abilities to go over. First off, in the oldest trailer that we've seen of him, he has like these twin axes, which he's able to decide which one he wants to throw. One's made of fire almost, and the other is made of ice, which does look very, very cool. Also, inside the most recent trailer, we saw that he has like this ice whip. So I don't know if that would be a similar action skill where he's able to like kind of stretch out and make a whip of the ice axe, and he's able to do like these consecutive ranged attacks rather than just throwing it all at once, which seems very, very handy. But then also in the most recent trailer, we've seen that he's able to generate the shield, which seems to block damage. Now, this was only shown in a CG trailer, so we don't actually have gameplay of this ability, but seems to be like this character will have some offensive and defensive capabilities, which is very, very cool. And then for a final action skill here for Ammon, we've seen that he's able to just straight up punch people with that giant robotic hand. We saw that he's able to like almost infuse the hands there with some fire elemental energy and just absolutely deck someone with that fist. So it seems to be a very tanky or brawler style character depending on what action skills you choose. Now, to end off the video here, we just have some news about potential DLC Vault Hunters. So I believe Epic Games kind of leaked this maybe a bit early, but it says here that Gearbox has pledged to support Borderlands 4 with both free and paid post-launch content following release, including 2 new playable Vault Hunters and extended story content. So going to be going back to the DLC Vault Hunters that they did for Borderlands 2. I believe they might have also done it with Borderlands 1. Not really sure there, but they did skip it with Borderlands 3, which was a huge miss. Instead, they did DLC skill trees for the already existing characters, which wasn't very good at all. Having them go back to DLC Vault Hunters is much, much better in my opinion, and I'm very, very excited to learn who those potential characters could be. And that's basically it that we know for these characters as of right now. One thing that has changed about these characters though is of course their overall designs. If you remember before, they did have these really basic looking designs which not a lot of people really liked, but now in the most recent trailers we've seen these brand new designs and they just look way, way better. I really like Rafa's mask and hood. Just that whole design now with the hoodie just looks way more appealing in my opinion. Ammon looks amazing. He did look very, very basic, but now with the whole like black and red like warrior aspect to him, looks way, way better. Vex just seems to be more gothic. I think she's now paler and has darker hair color, so that's really cool. And then Harlo also got a massive redesign with those goggles and a new hairdo and everything about that. So overall, these characters look very, very cool, and I'm just so excited to learn more about their action skills and just overall kits. I do believe that they said that there's going to be like a first hands-on gameplay like preview event going on in June, I believe. So we'll be waiting for that to hopefully learn more. And that's everything for today's video. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed. If you did, remember to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.